where you are joining us from, which position you currently occupy, maybe specific topics you are interested in. So curious to know who we have here with us, where you're joining from. And also, I had this crazy idea. Why don't we also share our LinkedIn profiles and connect with each other, start following each other, and start once again building the community and follow each other. Yeah.
Great.
Perfect. That would be amazing. Let me open the chat as well. All right, so we have some Canada and US folks joining. Nice, first LinkedIn profile. Awesome, thank you. Okay, amazing. Okay, another reminder, please stay active in chat. Let us know if you have any questions along the way. I'll try to as well keep an eye out for these, add them as we go. If not, we will save them and then have a Q&A at the end. We do have a full hour, so we'll save some time at the end to go over your individual questions. And also, one of the most frequently asked questions usually is the recording there. Will everybody get it? Yes, indeed. We are recording. We will share the recording with everyone after the event. So tune in and you can listen to it afterwards as well in case you have to leave early. So no worries about that. Okay, perfect. So before we kick off, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Alex. I'm a sales team lead at IIIO, the organizer of the event. I will be a moderator today, so I'll help keep the discussion flowing. And I'm joined by amazing speakers, women leaders, Catherine, Katrina, and Cynthia. Welcome once again. Let me introduce you to our audience. So we have Cynthia Barnes, founder and CEO of National Association for Women in Sales Professionals, creator of women-centric sales training, author of Reach the Top 1% Strategic Game Plan for Warrior Women in Sales, and the host of the Unstoppable podcast, Unstoppable with Cynthia Barnes. Hi, Cynthia, welcome. We have Catherine Andruha today, Global Sales Development Leader, Top 100 Most Powerful Women in Sales, has held senior level positions at several unicorn companies and managed large SDR teams. Hi, Catherine, great to have you. And we have Katrina Kurd. Hi, Katrina. Katrina is a CEO and founder of LinkedIn, a startup mentor on growth strategies using LinkedIn, strong female voice on LinkedIn about leadership and sales, marketing, personal branding, data, and analytics. Amazing, thank you. Hi, Katrina. Thank you for joining us. And once again, a final thank you to our panelists for taking the time and coming to speak with us today. Can't wait to learn from you and from your experience. All right, amazing. So I thought that in the beginning, it will be good for us to get to know you a little bit, to know your background, because each of us are shaped by our individual experiences, by the mentors that we had. So really curious to know which experiences, work or life events, or maybe people in your life have made you the leader that you are today. I know it's a tough one, so I'm not going to assign anyone for this one, so feel free to start.
Go for it, Cynthia. I saw you come
I would have to say that everyone I meet has shaped who I am today, some more than others. But once I made the decision to always ask myself, what am I going to gain from this relationship? What am I going to gain from this interaction, rather than what am I taking away from it? It's more like what can I give and what can I gain? Everyone from my 10-year-old niece to my 90-year-old grandmother always gives me something that I can use to make myself better. And we just have to look for those opportunities.
Yeah,
thank you.
I would say also, if you find somebody in the workplace, don't be afraid to take feedback from people that are giving it to you. It's your choice to listen to it or not, or to try it out. But I always recommend at least trying it. And I'll tell you what, if you try it and it works, that person that gave you that feedback is looking out for you and they've got your back, female or male, I will say that. But some of the toughest leaders that I've ever had have been females that have guided me, that have pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And actually, one of my mentors who's not in tech anymore, believe it or not, she opened up a gym and I adore her. She told me, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable and a little bit nervous, it's probably not a challenge for you. So go out there, step outside of your box, but really pay attention to what people are saying to you and take it with a grain of, I mean, if it's negative and they're terrible, I've had that also, don't listen to them. But if people are genuinely trying to help you accomplish your goals, listen, sometimes that feedback really can help guide you down a different path that you didn't realize was open for you.
I would also say, agreeing with what Catherine just said and Cynthia, I would say that not only people shape, how we are today, but also challenges that we kind of get along the way to getting to a specific role. So all of the challenges that you face, either that's, having a bad manager in the very first positions, later on having some bad advice or anything else really in your career, basically leads you to your next step. So I would say not only people that are mentoring us in one way or another, but also challenges that we kind of get along the way.
Yeah, can I piggyback on that really quickly? Because I think you bring up a really good point. Your life and your career goes in different cycles. What's working for you right now, to your point, Katrina, like with challenges, might not be where you are in 5 years. And the challenge right now might seem really, really big. And in 5 years, you're like, I can't believe I worried about that. Now my challenges are so much different. And it'll happen as life changes. Like if you decide to have kids, if you decide to go back to school, if you decide to switch careers, everything's going to be a different type of challenge for you. And really leaning on those mentors, whether or not they're from your current industry or not, is going to be where you're going to get that feedback and that oomph to keep it going and to conquer those challenges.
Amazing. I love the idea to kind of take that maybe part of a negative feedback, to take it as a challenge, to not be afraid of it, but rather seeing that person as a mentor and somebody to kind of maybe keep asking for more feedback. Yes, go ahead, Cynthia.
I think it's also important to remember the source of the feedback. Someone once told me a long time ago, you never take advice from someone who doesn't have what you want, who doesn't have a stake in whether or not you succeed or fail. So those are my two guiding motivations, if you will. If I'm taking marriage advice from someone who's been married and divorced 5 times, chances are likely that I'm going to end up in the same boat if I take their advice. Is it good advice? To them, maybe. But I have to take a look at, where do I want to go? Would I trade places with this person? And then I decide whether or not I'm going to take that advice. So that might help.
Indeed, thank you for that additional remark, by the way. That's really important to know, that who is that person? What have they achieved? Are they really a good example? Exactly. Are they where you want to be as well in some time? So definitely important to remember that. Perfect. Thank you already for some of the stories, some of the ideas, and kind of also based on that, right? You've already mentioned today that we've all had our bosses or supervisors. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. So maybe also based on those experiences, what are you personally doing differently in your roles right now when you're training other women, or when you're leading your teams, or when you're leading your companies? Anything that you like to practice in your leadership style that would be interesting to share?
Well, I can start then. I'm trying to encourage people, because I myself have had some managers and some leaders before who were not really encouraging, and that kind of put me down for a while. And I didn't want to grow into the position that I grow into today. So that was kind of a step back. But then, you need to find yourself again, or meet another person that will lift you up. So I'm trying to encourage other people, and then really focus on every person's individual strengths and skills, seeing what they can offer, and trying to show that they can do more and they can actually achieve more, even though they maybe don't really know that themselves yet. So these are some of the things that I'm doing, and something that I have definitely lacked during my first sales positions that I had.
I think it's also important to remember that the true measure of whether or not we are a success in life isn't based upon what we accomplish. It's actually based upon how many others we help accomplish their goals. So while we are encouraging, we also have to remember that if someone who's following you doesn't end up better than you, with more skills, knowledge, and abilities, then the knowledge that you have imparted on them stops. It doesn't continue to grow to the next person and the next person and the next person. So as we seek to help everyone rise, we've got to remember that as we rise up ourselves, we've got to give back, reach back, rise up and reach back.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes these webinars so fruitful and important for women. It's not even just for women. I would say I think just important for everybody as a whole, understanding different skill sets and modes and giving back to people is how I got to where I am at. We all didn't get to where we are by ourselves. We have a village, whether it's our parents, our best friends, our kids, our mentors, our bosses. We have a village. And I want, like, the most important key takeaway that I learned in life is that if you've got someone that's really in your corner and has your back, take it, like, latch onto that, because that's how you get ahead, is you build off of the building blocks that other people build for you too. And that's how you build them yourself. And then you start doing that for other people. And I even do that with some of my old employees, like, hey, yeah, you can come work for my team. But then I have other employees that I'm like, hey, I've got a promotion path for you at this new company. Do you want to rise up? And they're like, yeah. And it just goes a long way, and they want to work harder for you.
Amazing to see such support from your boss, right? For them being invested, first of all, in your personal development, right? Or your leader or mentor, right? Rather than some other things that would be maybe more business related. Perfect. So I noted some things just to summarize, maybe the things that we mentioned once again. So it was about encouraging others, right? To be a leader that encourages others, is not afraid of the people who you mentor to become better than you. That is your motivation, right? But that is the goal, the end goal, to get them to be better than you and not be afraid of their success, but rather do everything to promote that, indeed, and be like, to be in the corner for them, to be a supporter for them. Amazing. I think this is so unique. I don't know if it's a women thing or not, but I really love this kind of idea that it's so giving to the community and to the people who we mentor, right? Who we're responsible for.
That's one of the great things about women, is that we are nurturers by design, and we motivate each other and we encourage each other. And in a profession like sales, that's really important, because sales is naturally, by nature, competitive. It's designed to see who's at the top of the leaderboard, who has the most clients, who has the best revenue. Women understand, those strong women understand that collaboration is our competitive advantage. A lot of times people will say, well, women are so competitive and they're dog eat dog and cat eat cat and backstabbers and all that. If you choose to be, yeah, I guess you could be. But when we realize that when we collaborate, when we work together, we actually accomplish more. And I think it's a choice. It's a choice we make. And I'm glad to see that the women on this call and the women on this panel understand that together we achieve more.
Yeah. And actually, it was funny. I was speaking with Gina Strazuzzi on her podcast yesterday, and she asked, like, what do you do to level up women? And, you could be sitting in a boardroom, and there's not very many of us in sales in a boardroom, right? Like, let's be honest, there's not very many female leaders at the top. So we should have each other's backs in that meeting in some way. And I don't mean like, you're right or anything like that, but just giving the acknowledgement of, hey, Katrina, I really liked what you said. I'd like to double click on that for just a second. It's a process we could maybe do over here. Hey, Cynthia, like you had mentioned this in a previous meeting and I tried it out with my team. Giving some sort of acknowledgement to these types of behaviors, especially if the outcomes are positive, is an organic way of doing each other's high fives, fist pumps, you know what I mean? Where everyone gets a trophy in the boardroom then. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to catch bees with honey. And being that person can be such an amazing, not only political move for you, but also, it gets everybody on your side.
Could you imagine if every woman got together with the other women on her sales team and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Once a week, one of us is going to send out an all-team email praising something that another woman has done.
Oh,
imagine. Gives me goosebumps just to think about it.
I actually, yes, I was like, that would be amazing.
Yes, we take it upon ourselves to be vocal, to edify, to praise, to bring to the attention of our leadership. Hey, women are doing these amazing things. And you don't actually have to toot your own horn because sometimes that makes us feel uncomfortable. So I challenge everyone in this call, get together with the women in your team and everyone take a week and send out an all-team email praising something that's another woman has done. See what happens. Let me know.
Less competition, more collaboration. That's what needed.
Yeah. Wise words for sure.
Indeed, thank you. When we were talking, Cynthia mentioned just now about like to praise in those accomplishments, right? To kind of talking about them. I actually had a question about that. How can we make our accomplishments stand out, whether that's stand out against our male peers' accomplishments or maybe our other team members? Do you have any strategies in mind maybe that we could use?
I have one that has worked for years, and I won't tell you how long I've been in sales. Women tend to not bring attention to themselves for whatever reason. You can call it the imposter syndrome. You can call it intimidation. We've got to. And the best way I know how to do that is to have an IBM with your manager. And an IBM stands for individual business meeting. So your boss may say, you know what, I want to meet with you on a monthly basis. I challenge you to ask for a weekly meeting. The reason we do that is because we want to go in with a strategy, an agenda. Let's talk about my 5 top clients and where I stand with them. That's agenda item number 1. My agenda item number 2 is here's what I've been able to accomplish with them and through professional development I'm taking, organizations I've joined. Brag on yourself a little bit. The next thing is here's where I want to go in my career. The next thing is, the last one is based upon here's where I want to go in my career. How can you help me? And then you stop talking. And you let your leadership tell you, here's what you need to advance. That does a number of things. It holds you accountable for what you're doing in your book of business. It also gives you a chance to bring to the attention of your boss, hey, these are the great things that I'm doing. Also, it lets your boss know, I want to be promoted. I can't tell you how many women have come to me and said, Cynthia, I went to my boss and told him that I wanted that position. And my boss said to me, well, I didn't know you wanted a promotion. We eliminate that if you do your individual business meetings. Be vocal, stand up for yourself, and say what you want.
Can you repeat those 3 questions to ask Cynthia?
Yes. First one is, here are my 5 top accounts that I'm working.
Okay.
Here is what I have done, the professional development, the books I'm reading, whatever it is that I'm done. Brag on yourself a little bit. Next thing is, here's where I want to go with the company. Here's the position I have my eye on, whatever it is, the committee I want to lead. The next thing is, here's where I need your help. You've got to put the onus on your manager because their job is to make you better. They don't know how to make you better until you say, here's what I need. So go into those IBM every single week prepared with those 4 agenda items, and you will see your success skyrocket.
Bravo. I typed those in there. So thank you for everybody.
Thank you, Catherine, for bringing us. Oh, yeah, perfect. So it's there so that everyone can come back to it and once again look at it. Perfect.
I would say
Thank you.
the only piece of advice I have, which was given to me by my career coach, if you can afford a career coach, great. If you can get your company to pay for you to have a career coach, even better. If you can do it once a month, awesome. But what he told me one time, and yes, he's a male, so I love getting different perspectives. He's not in sales. He came from engineering, which even better, right? Like knows how to communicate a little bit. And so he told me once, when you come to a meeting, be prepared before that meeting and have the one point, the important point that you want to have shared in that meeting. You don't have to go in and be that person that rambles all the time, that has to be heard. If you say one point that resonates, that point will be remembered. And you will be uplifted and seen as a proactive addition to the team and not just someone who talks and can't act on what they've talked about. So try doing that and come prepared with like a notebook. Think about the meeting before you go in, the day before, at the end of your day. Be like, I've got this meeting, and this meeting. What do I want my point to be that gets made in each meeting? What do I want to win? What's my end game in each meeting? Super important.
Just piggybacking on what Catherine said, I think a lot of the times what happens is that we don't really, or women forget to take credit. And then that's why a lot of the managers or leaders, they see those employees as not so active, not taking a lot of initiatives and so forth, even though in reality, you know, these people, these women, they're doing a lot of the work, right? So it's all about taking credit and also saying what you're doing, right? And speaking up for yourself and the projects that you're running. And as Catherine just mentioned, if you can get a coach who would coach you, that's amazing. Else, there are a lot of different communities online and offline that you can join, groups for women in sales, groups for women in leadership, and so forth. So these type of organizations definitely do help other women to succeed and get to the next level in your career.
Alex, I love what Catherine and Katrina have said. There's a comment in the chat that I have got to comment on, if I may.
Yes, please. Yes, please go ahead.
So, Monica.
Oh, Monica's, yes. Yeah. I've been chatting with her. Yeah.
Right. I am all fired up. I'm trying to pay attention to both. So being too ambitious. So just like when your client says, or your buyer says, that's really expensive, and you smile gently and you say, compared to, and then you stop talking because they may be comparing you to something totally irrelevant. You got to figure out what the deal is. So if someone says I'm too ambitious, I smile and I pause and I say, compared to. He may be comparing you to Bob down the street who plays in his navel every single day. You want to know what's he comparing you to. Second thing I want to say is to tell you a little story. I went for this job interview and I knew I had it. I've spent 6 hours in one day interviewing with everyone, it seemed, from the CEO to the janitor. I knew I had it nailed. I'm closing the woman at the end of the interview and I said, well, it sounds like things are going really well. Can you think of any reason why I wouldn't be an asset to this team? I've been practicing all day, right? She says, Cynthia, I have no doubt that you could run rings around our company and really make an impact. And then she said, but I don't think we can keep up with you. I was crushed. So I went home, tears in my eyes, and I said to my mom, I said, I did everything right. I said everything right. I am the most qualified candidate. I am a shoo-in. And she looks at me and she wipes my tears like good moms do. And she said, you know, Cynthia, A managers hire A employees. B
Yeah.
managers hire C employees because they're intimidated. They're afraid that you will outwork them, outshine them, whatever. So, Monica, I want to tell you, there are tons of organizations who will celebrate you, not just tolerate you. You owe it to yourself to go and find those companies that will celebrate you, not just tolerate you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. It's unbelievable what can be said to females. It blows my mind on the daily, the stories that I hear that are still happening. People, it is 2023. What is going on? Like, why people think that they could get away with this, I think just boggles my brain. And finding the right leaders that can support you is huge. And I get it. I totally get it. Every single VP role I have applied for, I have lost to a man with less experience. I almost have my MBA. They don't, and they probably make more money than me. But for some reason, it just doesn't work out. And so I've been just like you, Cynthia, like, what's going on? Tears, everything. And then I stepped back and I realized that was my ego talking a lot. Yes, I want that role, but there's so much more I can do in other organizations too that can resonate, can have ripple effects in people's careers and lives. And that is good for me as well. And while I still want that title, of course, right? Who doesn't want a big title and a big paycheck and everything? I am finding that sometimes, and even now in my own personal growth and journey, that the time that I spend meeting people like Katrina, like Cynthia, like you, Alex, like everybody in this chat, I'm creating a new networking environment for myself and support system that will help me get to that next level, and people I can lean on. It's so crucial to this. So no, everybody, every participant here, all 72 of us, we're all our own lean in circle. We're all our own group of networking people, and we're all here to help each other out. So if you're having a bad day, lean on somebody in here. Remember their name. Ping us. We're all here. We can all chat on LinkedIn chat. We're here to support each other, because I guarantee you this has happened to every single person on this call. You are not alone. You are not alone. And it's up to us to make the changes in our own corporate environments.
Thank you, Catherine. Indeed. And I actually wanted us to talk a bit about the challenges that maybe each of you has personally faced in your journey as a woman. I know we've touched already on some of them, but my idea was to kind of inspire or maybe warn other women out there what they could anticipate, maybe what they could prepare for. And I think this first one, the example that Monica gave us about where your supervisor or your boss is thinking that you're too ambitious or you want too much or you're doing something too fast and they're not happy with that. That is already like a big one that thank you to your expertise and experience, we already know how to perceive that. Is there anything else you can think of as well? Any certain struggles or setbacks that you faced that could be a good example as well?
There are so many. We don't have enough time. And people say, Cynthia, you're a CEO. Surely you don't encounter struggles and challenges being a woman in sales. Yeah, boo-boo, I do. 2022, true story. I go into an office of a Fortune 500 CEO, and we'll call him Bob. And we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, having more women in sales, all these good things. Everything sounds great. And so I asked him, I said, why do you want more women on your sales team? because it's important to know why. Do you want to just check boxes? Do you want to, aesthetics? You want to look good in the public eye? I want to know why. If we're going to put in effort to bring women to your company, we have to know why you want to do it and know that we're sending women not into the fire, but into a place of belonging. So he says to me, he said, well, why do you want to know? And I told him why. He slams down his coffee so hard that it splashes out. And he said, if I'd known how much trouble this DE&I BS was going to be, I would have picked the damn cotton myself. 2022.
Oh my God.
Right. And I stood there and I said,
Oh my.
you do
What?
know that I'm Black, right? And it stung. It stung. Not everyone sees the world the way we do. Not everyone wants to do the right thing. But know that the challenges that you face, another woman is facing them too. I'm fortunate in that I can tell him to go kick rocks. Not everybody has that privilege to do that because you've got bills to pay, you've got a mortgage to pay. The struggle is real for everyone. There are moments that still make me cry because I think, you know what? It's 2023 and we still have to fight for equity. Why? Some days I think of quitting. But then I go to the community that we have created, and there's tons of them out there for women in sales. And I get comfort. I know that I'm not alone. There's no reason that in 2023 we should have to go through and put up with what we have to put up with. The good news is that we don't have to go through it alone, and you shouldn't. Don't suffer in silence because it will eat away at you, and that's not fair to you. Okay.
Indeed. So the advice would be to reach out to the community for support if there's anything like this that you're facing, right? Indeed.
That's a horrific story. It's crazy. I was speechless that this is still happening, and yeah, it's important that you have like a circle around you to lean on when things like that are happening. Talking about some stories from my sales department, I went to visit one of my clients, and he was a sales manager at another company, IT company, and we were working with them, and I was coaching their sales team, and he then suddenly invited me to go to an opera house. And I, of course, said no. I declined. I said, well, thank you for the offer. This is not something that I'm interested in, and so forth. And of course, you're working with these people. They're your clients. That's just simple work ethic, right? You don't do these things. And then suddenly, like a few days later, the offer, the deal that we had was rejected. And it was totally and purely connected to what has happened, and that I did not go along with that guy. And suddenly I was just sitting there and thinking like, wow, so I make all this effort. I come there, I train these people. I'm really putting all the hard work, and, I'm not being valued by some sales manager, and I'm, asked to go out with him, and I don't do that. And then I lose the deal. So things like that are sexist, and also, yeah, I don't have a lot of words for them, but they're still happening, and that happened last year. So
this is something that I would say to everybody that's experienced something like this. As a leader, it's important that we're empathetic to people's lives, to what's happening behind the scenes, because everybody has their own struggles, whether it's comments from bosses, whether it's losing deals, whether it's something that's happening at home. I always try to take a step back and think, oh, that person's reacting because maybe something else is happening that I don't know about, or that they don't want to share with me. And so, and not I'm not talking about the people that are saying these horrific things or acting this. I'm talking about our own employees. You know, like I try to go out of my way to be more empathetic because maybe they just got slammed on the phone. To Becca's point, she's asking a question on how do you prospect in male dominated, in the male dominated industry, right? Same thing. Like she's dealing with that, trying to figure out how does she navigate her success because, she's a female and they think that that's what correlates to her success. I mean, what I would say is maybe find a different team, Becca, that supports you and highlights your successes and rocks out. Because let me tell you, some of the best sales reps are the ones that win those Porsches and Lamborghinis at sales kickoff. And they're driving fast and furious. So find an organization that really doesn't gender discriminate, I guess you could say. I mean, life is too short, people. Stop working for assholes. Life is too short. And it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. It's okay to look out for yourself. And I think a lot of the times we forget to do that. So know that maybe that's how some of your employees are feeling, and take a step back and ask how their lives are sometimes, because maybe they had a run-in with somebody on the street, or maybe they've got family issues going on, but sometimes that can help unlock the door to their success, male or female.
I think indeed, kind of going through your own struggles and challenges kind of makes you more open and makes you are able to notice these things around, and then also being able to, I don't know, what would be the way to deal with if you see somebody maybe is underperforming or reacting in a strange way, right? To kind of give them a bit of space and then come back to that later. Or how would you address that, Catherine? If maybe a team member is underperforming and then you suspect something can be happening outside of work.
I just take the time to ask and just sit down. And it's not even like in a one-on-one. I'm like, hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, ping them on Slack. Everything okay? You seem to be off your game. It's sometimes that's all it takes. Or, hey, I just wanted to, yesterday you seemed kind of down in the meeting, and I just wanted to let you know that you're a ray of sunshine on our team. And if you need anything, let us know. We're here to pick you up the same way you pick up all of us. Sometimes people just need that acknowledgement. I mean, I've been in plenty of meetings where all of a sudden someone just starts crying, and I'm like, okay, now we're going to flip the switch. I close the laptop and I just pause and I say, okay, how can I help you? What's going on? I put my mom hat on, or I put my best friend hat on, or I put on my psych degree hat on, and I'm like, all right, how can I help you? Because everybody has different definitions of help and advice. And it's important that people feel like they can come to you to find out what they need.
I think that in 2023, there are so many negative things going on. And people have said, 2022 was negative and 2021. The reality is that everyone is fighting a battle that may not be visible to everybody else. We should be kind. We should be empathetic, caring. In a world where we are all tethered and connected by our phones, you can ping someone in a moment's notice. We have never been more disconnected. People are hurting. People are dealing with loss. And sometimes they need to feel heard. They need to feel seen. And if we can just ask, how are you today? And then when they answer, we look them in the eye and ask them, really, how are you today? And let them talk. It's amazing what things can happen. Everyone wants to be seen and heard. And sometimes we're just so busy in our day-to-day, we forget the other person. So at least once a day, ask somebody, how are you really doing?
I think that's the best thing a leader can do, really. To notice the people that they're responsible for, people that are guiding, to really acknowledge them. And I see this everywhere, right? As a salesperson, the power of a pause. When you ask a question, then pause. Once again, we talked about it again, right, today. Just let them say everything after they say, yeah, I'm good. But, and then if you give them space, I guess that gives them more freedom, yeah, to continue. I wanted us also to talk a bit about, because each of you has trained women in sales, has trained sales teams, SDR teams, and I was curious about what specifically maybe you focused on in your onboarding, in your training, anything unique about maybe women's, not abilities, I would say, but something unique about it, women's maybe personalities that you like to highlight in the sales industry.
I'll take this one. So for the last 20 years, I have been studying sales training and sales approaches as it relates to women. The reason being, when traditional sales approaches were started, they were developed for men at a time when men made up the entire sales force. Nothing wrong with them. We've used them all to get to the top, so they're great. I wanted to know, though, when I started NAWSP, how much faster could women in sales reach the top if we had sales approaches that address the unique challenges we face while amplifying our innate strengths. So the one thing I've learned that has been pivotal is to help women remember that just because you may sell differently doesn't mean that you are wrong. Different and wrong do not live in the same space all the time. So, as long as you're selling legally, morally, and ethically, different is okay. And we do deal with things differently. We talk a lot about relationships in our tribe because women thrive on relationships. We build relationships with our clients. And a lot of times people say relationship selling is dead. Not really. Not really. Because your client, your buyer is paying you to help them with a problem that they've been Googling that they can't find the answer to. So it's important for you to develop that relationship as that trusted advisor and let them know, hey, I got you. Together, we'll get through this. Relationships are important.
Yeah, I think that answers actually, Cynthia, to your point about relationship building. There's been a lot of comments in the chat. I've been reading through them about how do I do better? I'm feeling really down. I'm not booking meetings. You know, how do I get people to accept meetings with the female who think that I'm not, you know, credible enough or whatever. Think of it as you're not just trying to sell a product, but you're trying to make a new friend, you know, and that friendship is going to last for years, hopefully, because if you go to another company, you can sell to that person again, if you're smart. So I would just build on it and say, hey, I hear you right now. You're not ready. But I'm going to still send you some stuff. I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn. And maybe when you are ready, we could meet up, or, hey, I'm going to be in the area for an event. Want to meet up for a cup of coffee? Want to join us here? We're hosting a dinner. Start building that relationship with them. And I think that's when you'll start seeing it be more fruitful, because then it's going to feel to them that it's not transactional, that you genuinely are interested in getting to know them, and you can build that relationship forever.
On the same lines of that, I love that relationship building advice. For women reaching out to men to build a relationship, it can be seen by those who are not as astute and as worldly as we are, as borderline. It can be taken the wrong way if this person does not receive it. So make sure as you're building that relationship, you add and bring value. Every time you reach out, saw this article that you thought you might, that might be relevant to what you're going through, read a book the other day, saw an article online. Always add value whenever you reach out. That way there's no indication or of impropriety whatsoever, because unfortunately there are some who will not take you on your merits. They will take you on your gender. That's how we get over that.
I love the idea of bringing value on top of like also build, like as part of building a relationship, because as you said, if they still quite often, right, they still see you as one gender or the other, but you have to come off as an expert in your field. And even if you are 100%, it's not 100% guaranteed that the others are going to see you as such. So you have to work for it. That's why, like, bringing value every step of the way, and then also being a relationship builder indeed, is something that will help you succeed. Thank you for that.
I would just add that a lot of women should try to see something that they do well or something that they succeed in as their skill. You know, sometimes they would come in and say, "Hey, Katrina, I'm very empathetic. I don't know if empathy is a good skill," and things like that. And I would say, but believe me, that's a skill. That's a skill that a lot of salespeople don't have. And if you have the skill, you can try to, be empathetic towards the client, try to, find a better way to sell and so forth. So a lot of the times what I see, at least when I talk to these other women in sales, is that not always they see something that is truly a skill and that not a lot of people have, for instance, as being more empathetic, as a skill. Sometimes they just disregard it. So that's a little bit sad. So I think, like, when you have a specific skill and maybe it's something that you don't see as a skill, try to think what kind of things that skill is bringing you. Can it help you be more empathetic towards the client and so forth?
Indeed, that really adds up to everything we've said. I like how, like, every single input allows us to paint this beautiful picture, right? Everything is, we're able to integrate everything. Perfect. Indeed, I also had one more question before. We had a few questions in the chat, but we'll come back to them. I have them all in one place. One kind of final question from me would be about tech trends. Maybe any specific tech trends that you personally find helpful, maybe specific tools that really help you stay efficient in your day-to-day, right? What helps you to be productive?
There are now so many artificial intelligence tools. Everybody's talking about it. I mean, just look at OpenAI and all of the models over there. ChatGPT is writing cold outreach emails for us now. And there is just a huge amount of new tools that are emerging right now, whether those tools are helping you with email labeling, scheduling your calls, writing your emails, responding even for you. There are a bunch of new tools that are connected with AI. So I would say try to experiment with some of those. Jasper for writing copy, for writing cold emails, ChatGPT for anything, really. It can be even answering for you, right? So I think, like, we'll definitely see more and more sales tools in this space in the upcoming months.
Definitely. Catherine, Cynthia, are there any trends you enjoy in particular?
I wish I had something like really cool and trendy, like what Katrina just said, but so I'll throw myself out there right now. Like, I just heard about Chat GPT the other day from my CRO, and he had heard about it from somebody else, and my just went like that, like mind blown, right? And I think it's so amazing that so many different tools are coming out on the market, and like learning from everybody else and hearing about these cool tools from like my SDRs who are light years younger than me, and just embracing everything that they're bringing to me, I think is a tool in itself. I am so open to hearing about all these new tactics and new ways to reach out to people. So I think that that's a tool everybody should have, is to embrace change. It's not negative all the time, everybody. Change can be really, really good. It can be really positive. And sometimes it just takes someone introducing you to something that's changing to open up your eyes. Like Chat GPT is like my new best friend. Like my team's going to start using it. It's amazing. And double click, star to what Katrina said.
All right.
I could also add just one more thing. So we are also going to see more virtual and augmented reality being used to enhance customer interactions. For instance, allowing sales teams to give product demonstrations and walk customer through virtual environments. So this is connected to Web3 a little bit, and I think like some sales teams are already testing this out. So especially in those cases where you're not able to travel somewhere physically and you want to still showcase a demo of, let's say, a real estate building or something else, you will be able to do that remotely pretty soon. If you're not doing that now already, some teams are.
You said Web3?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Learned another tool.
Web3, I think it's more like connected to a movement where everything is going to the metaverse. I think a lot of you has heard this buzzword. Yeah, I'm not sure where it will end up being, but I do see a lot of people going and exploring it. I myself went into the Decentraland the other month. I didn't find anything fascinating there, but let's wait and see.
Love it. Thank you for sharing.
Indeed. Thank you.
So while I love trends and that Chat GPT thing, I'm frustrated with it and I love it. I can't get in when I need to, and I spend too many hours at midnight when I should be asleep. So it's a love-hate relationship, more love than hate. I think also we've got to there's a time and a place for technology and trends and what's hot and what's new. And we can't forget what works. One thing that I see women in sales fail to do is to become a resident expert in their product, service, and buyer. Remember, we all have access to Google right here. We can get 1,000 trillion billion pages on the latest and greatest everything. Your customer can too. And they are confused because they don't have the time to go through every single billion trillion page. They want someone who says, based upon your situation, Mr. Prospect, here's what's going to work for you. They are going to pay you for answering what they can't find on Google. So how do you do that? First thing you want to do is you want to go to their profile. And you want to look down at the bottom, the groups that they're in. You want to go to those groups and you want to join, not to say anything. You want to lurk, but you are going to find out what a community that he belongs to talks about. What are their challenges? What are their goals? You're looking for the psychographics, how they think and why they buy. You can then use the data that you glean from that chat to now have an intellectual conversation with him because you've now gotten some data that supports what he needs and what you can offer. So that's one way. Find out what is top of mind of your customers, and LinkedIn is a great way to do that. You also have to be an expert in selling. Trends come and go, but what will always remain constant is the fact that we have to be knowledgeable. You wouldn't go to a doctor who doesn't have any medical journals on his shelves, who doesn't go to conferences. You wouldn't go for an accountant who doesn't stay up to date with tax laws. So why, if you're a professional salesperson, why wouldn't you study your craft? It doesn't make sense to me. If I'm on trial for murder, I'm not going to go get somebody who just got a law degree and says, you know what, I don't need to brush up on my skills. It's my life. So become an expert at selling. Read an hour a day. Listen to podcasts, do whatever it takes to become that expert in selling. It'll pay off dividends.
And you can use trends as you do it as well. Indeed. Yes, thank you, Cynthia. We have about 5 more minutes left, so I wanted to also ask a few questions that were mentioned in the chat, and one of them was about a salary raise. I thought it would be quite interesting to talk about this. So we had a question about how can I ask for a salary increase when I'm growing alone 5 new markets, but they're still not generating revenue, and I have the salary of my previous role. Is there anything you can recommend in this case?
I would definitely come in with the right data in place. I think if you don't come in and understand what you've done and how you've bettered your team and have your metrics of success ready to roll off of your tongue, then the chances of you getting that merit increase are very slim if you don't know your business. And I think that there's also a tactic and a way to ask. Demanding gets you nowhere. I would definitely say, look, everything that I've worked towards, all of the goals that you've put in place for me, I've crushed them. And I know merit season is coming up, and I would like to be considered for a merit increase or maybe even a promotion. And this is why. And if it's a promotion, look at what you've been doing already for that role that you'd like to promote into and highlight that you've already been doing that role. It's the easiest way to really get ahead with that conversation.
There's an old saying, be so good, they can't deny you. A young lady came to me once and she said, I'm ready for a promotion, ready for more money. And I said, okay, what's your business case? Because we're going to role play how you have this conversation in your individual business meeting. She said, well, I said, what are you exceeding quota by? Well, I'm kind of like in the 70th percentile. I had to stop her right there. She hasn't earned it. She may think she's earned it. You have to create a compelling argument for someone to come to your side of the table. If you're not at quota, if you don't lead any committees, if you haven't done anything above and beyond, chances are that you may not be ready for that promotion or that merit increase. You've got to be so good they can't deny you. And unfortunately, that means we have to go above and beyond what others do. But that's the reality we face. When you are so good, one step above excellent, they have no choice because it will be glaringly obvious to everyone else. Well, they didn't promote Cynthia. She's 120% above quota. Well, make sure you're good.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. Let me think. We have about 2 more minutes left, and I thought it would be good to give some closing remarks, as well as maybe give some encouragement to those who are maybe looking to transition to a new role or maybe move to a different company. But as we know, the times right now are very uncertain with a lot of layoffs. So what would be your final sort of encouragement to the ladies out there who want to do something, but maybe are also scared to do so in such uncertain times?
I would say believe in yourself and your abilities. I've already said that. I will just repeat myself. Sales can definitely be a challenging field, and it's important to have confidence in yourself and your ability to succeed. And of course, like Cynthia and Catherine already mentioned as well, networking and building relationships from the very early roles in your career is important and can be very helpful for finding leads, getting advice, and learning about new opportunities. So these would be my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you, by the way, for Cynthia and everyone else for sharing the communities, the links to the groups already on chat. So I'm sure everyone already sees that and they can join right away. Thank you.
I would say that when that little voice inside your head says you're not good enough, you're too this, you're not that, I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to say 2 things. I am enough without even trying. and then ask yourself, why not me?
Yeah, and what everybody's saying, follow it. It's amazing. I would just say, be yourself. Be yourself. It's okay to be yourself and have confidence in yourself. And if you need confidence, reach out to other people to help you. I think sometimes we see help as weakness. It's not. Somebody can brighten your day in 30 seconds and change your outlook on everything. And change can be positive. Don't always see it as a negative.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone who came to the webinar. Thank you so much, our speakers and panelists, for taking the time. I would say, I think my attendees would also agree with me. This was an amazing hour full of inspiration, full of really hands-on advice, what to do, how to see yourself, how to be a better salesperson, how to be a better leader. So really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming, sharing your expertise. This was really a great pleasure for me.
See you
Thank you,
all
Sue.
soon.